Well, welcome to this episode of Cooking in the Community Kitchen, where we cook up delicious recipes and have flavorful conversations. My name is Judy Anderson, and I will be your host today as we cook creamy asparagus soup. Asparagus will be featured in the Good Food Box over the next 3 weeks, and so we want all of you to have the opportunity to be able to cook with all of the items eventually in the Good Food Box. But for this week, it's asparagus. We are also doing a tribute to mothers, and who could be a better representative of mothers than my own mother, Marion Siegle. So I welcome you to this episode.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
Excellent. Well, we are going to cook then the asparagus soup. I chopped 4 cups of onions. I've added a tablespoon of olive oil and a half a cup of butter, and we're going to cook that down, not browning it, but just make sure that they're nice and soft. And in the meantime here, I'm going to do the asparagus. So I am going to save the tips of the asparagus that we can use as a garnish. We will steam those. And then we're going to put the others here in the pot. All right, we're going to just stick the lid on there, and those are going to be good for a minute.
Good. Oh,
and I'm going to chop these up. Now, I think I shared with you that on our last episode that we had Peter John Wolf from the Big Hearted Mavericks with us.
Peter John Wolf.
Yes, exactly. And so Peter was sharing with me that his mother insisted always that he would be called Peter John, and sometimes even Joshua. And I did say to him, I said, well, you know, as I recall, the only time my mom ever called me Judith Arlene was when I was in a little bit of trouble. So I'm not sure if I'm kind of opening it up here, but if you want to maybe just have to really think for a moment, if there was, number one, ever a time that I was actually in trouble, and maybe another time if you actually did have to call me Judith Arlene, perhaps you want to just share that with us.
Well, you know what? I was in the kitchen, and Judy and her brother, they were away a little ways, and I just wasn't hearing them for a little while. So when you don't hear your children, sometimes you wonder just what they're doing. So I called and I said, Judy, what are you and your brother doing right now? And you know what? They had taken their sister's doll, and they were underneath the bed, and they cut off all of her hair, and then they made a hole in the top of her head. And I said, what was that supposed to be? Well, they were making a dolly piggy bank. And so I said, Judith Arlene, that's your sister's favorite doll. What do you expect that she's going to say when she comes home? But I certainly didn't call her Judy Arlene. I said, Judy Arlene.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
And she got into trouble. Really a lot of trouble.
Well, thank you, I guess, for sharing that with it. Here I was trying to give the persona that I was a pretty good person and that I didn't usually get into trouble.
But I'm so proud of all the work that you're doing, and it's just wonderful. I'm so behind you with all the things that you're doing. And I wish I was younger so that I could help more.
Oh, well, you know what? Your support means everything, as it always has through all the years. We've had lots of fun actually cooking together. We tend to kind of go big or go home, right, in our cooking. There's no doubt about that. I have shared with our viewers that there was 5 of us in our family and 5 boarders. So my mom did lots and lots of cooking, obviously, for lots of people, and shift works for the fellows that were in the oil field. So anyway, my total respect to her for all the years of cooking. So I have just chopped up then the asparagus, probably in about 1.5 inches or so pieces, maybe an inch. It's certainly not something where you need to get your ruler and be too worried about the size of the pieces. And I've got about 2 pounds in there as well. So we'll just clean up that mess. And one of my favorite shows is the Jamie Oliver, his 15-minute meals. And so this is a trick I learned from him. I've boiled this water, and we're going to add then about 6 cups of water into our pot. And with it being just pre-boiled, that will just help our pot just get things going a little quicker. And like I say, it's a 6-ish cup of water, let's say that. And really the point in this is just add enough water so that your asparagus and your onions are nicely covered. And so I think that is going to be just about the perfect amount. And then to that, I'm going to add 6 rounded teaspoons of the chicken powder. Chicken stock powder, I guess is really what it is. Are you going to help me count here so I don't get confused while I talk?
That's 3.
Okay.
Aren't you glad I went to school?
Well, that's for sure.
There we are, my
dear. There we go. All right. And maybe one for, that extra person that might show up. Mm-hmm. All right. There we go. So we're going to just, turn that up to high. And we're going to let that just cook away. Pardon me.
It smells good.
Maybe we'll just add just that little smidge more water. There you go. We'll get back to the rest of the recipe in a moment, but first I want to quickly share something with you. Here in Alberta, 1 in 10 families struggle with food insecurity. That means 10% of our population has to make the hard decision between whether to pay their rent or buy groceries. No one should have to make that choice or wonder where their next meal is going to come from. The Community Kitchen started the Good Food Box program 20 plus years ago, and for as little as $25, anyone can purchase a 20 to 25 pound box of fresh fruits and vegetables for their family. The savings that we are able to provide, thanks to our produce partners, is about 50% of the price you would pay at the grocery store. But unfortunately, that sometimes still isn't quite enough. If you would like to make a donation and gift a Good Food Box to a family in need, visit the link in the description below and make a donation today. Help us make sure that families in Alberta don't have to choose between paying their rent or paying for groceries. If you would like to learn more about how you can purchase a Good Food Box for yourself or someone you know, we will also have a link to the Good Food Box program in the description below. On behalf of everyone at the Community Kitchen, thank you in advance for your generosity. Now, let's get back to the show.
It's looking good.
Oh, it is looking good, and it's smelling really good as well. And we've got these little fellas the tips are just about nice and tender as well. One of Mom's special treats in our family was always having fancy butter. There was always a design on the butter.
Oh.
So, I'm thinking maybe I could give you a break from stirring this for a minute. And if you want to just show how you managed to create the fancy butter.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this was just a fun thing that I did at the last minute. Yeah, or I could do it the day before. Just have your spoon just kind of nice and warm, not too hot, but just a little bit warm. Just make a little circle, and we're going to make a little flour behind here. I'm going to just rinse it off a little bit, warm it up, and there now.
Oh, I think that's looking pretty good.
I think people just kind of think it's kind of neat. There. How's that? Does that look like a flower?
I think it certainly does.
Or do you have to use your imagination?
No, I think that looks really good.
All right, there we go.
Well, perfect. Well, we'll have that to have with our biscuits, with our soup.
Oh, good.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think one of my earliest stories about cooking was, and maybe I shouldn't be sharing this, but I will, is that my brother and myself, my brother was a little bit older, and we did seem to kind of maybe feed off of each other and get into a little bit of mischief. And we had crawled under the chicken house, under the chicken coop, and then we got a little bit of mud, and we created these beautiful, beautiful sort of like big pancakes. And my dad had a wooden stove out in his shop, and of course we put this mixture on in these lovely patties on the stove, but it did turn out that the eggs were a bit rotten. And so he had to open all the doors of his shop and air it out for a few days so that smell would disappear. So I think I might have gotten a Judith Arlene on that one as well. So anyways, all of these things that as we have a little bit of a flash from the past.
I'm sure gonna keep smelling this rather than those eggs.
Okay, well there you go. That is just great. So this is going to take probably about 15 minutes for our asparagus to get nice and tender. I don't think it's one of those things where you can overcook it or undercook it. I think just make it so that it's nice and soft, and we will test it out with a fork in a couple of minutes. When I think of growing up on the farm as well, that there was always an abundance of fruits and vegetables. And in all honesty, we probably took that very much for granted, that the people in the city just didn't have a big garden and beautiful fresh vegetables all year round. And I think that that's what I've loved so much with working with the Good Food Box, is that it does give people on a weekly basis this amazing opportunity to have this huge box of food delivered to our depots across the city. And we're really proud of that. I want to shout out to H&W Produce for donating the asparagus and the onions for our set. And them with 7 other wholesalers actually is where we get the produce from for the Good Food Boxes. The quality is absolutely number one. We have basically no complaints about any of the ingredients. And we are just proud to serve Calgarians in this way. And last year we did serve over 19,000 Good Food Boxes in the Calgary and surrounding area. So, and you know, it really is a day to celebrate. This week, we had our record high of all the years of the community kitchen, and that was 1,300 Good Food Boxes.
Isn't that wonderful?
So that is pretty amazing.
Wonderful.
It really, really is. So we just know that these are a lot of families that perhaps are hungry and needy, or others, the ones that just want to have a really good, know that they're getting a top quality for their pricing as well. So we have no means tests with any of the programs at the community kitchen. And I think that that's also one thing that really touches my heart, is that if people are in need, they don't have to humble themselves one more time to actually show their need. It is there and available for anyone that wants to access any of our programs.
Oh, that's just wonderful.
Look at this. This is looking very good.
Oh, that's
okay,
good.
so should we just pull one out and taste
Sure.
it?
You taste it.
Just about. Just about.
It looks pretty good to me.
It does. It does.
It's
But
one of my favorite soups.
I'm going to let you have a little taste, if you will, and then we'll just see if we think we need a little bit more of salt or pepper.
Oh, pepper probably.
Okay.
Oh yes, a little pepper.
A little pepper?
Oh.
Okay. Well, we can certainly
That'll
do
be
that.
good. I don't think it needs any salt though.
Okay. And you know what? If you are on a restricted sodium diet, this powder is probably not the best choice, but then you can get the low sodium in the Tetra Paks, and that would also be a great alternative. So we're going to give that literally 1 more minute, and then we will be good to go. And we're going to shut this off. And then one of my other favorite kitchen gadgets is the emulsifier. And I just find that this is such a real great and a safe way to make your soups or sauces. I think that we are good to go. This is looking really good, and I'm going to just turn it off, and then here we go. This is hot on there. Okay.
Is it going to splash, Judy?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think asparagus also just reminds me that spring is coming. And it's been such a long winter that we need any kind of hope and signs of spring that we possibly can get. And what makes this also a lovely creamy soup is that just with the onions and your stock and the asparagus, it does have that creamy texture without there being any cream in it. So I think this is actually looking quite lovely. Give it one more quick one. Now you always taught me also to be tidy when I cook, so I'm going to just put this over there. And then I think I'm going to have you set, if you don't mind, and then I'm going to dish up the soup. There we go. And then we're going to add some of these asparagus tips.
Oh, isn't that just beautiful?
Well, it's so wonderful to be together and to be able to share a bowl of soup together.
Oh, isn't wonderful.
COVID has been a really tough time for our seniors, and our time together has been very limited. So we want to take every opportunity to be able to seize the moment, for sure.
Yes,
and I'm not sure, I have to be really honest, gluten-free biscuits.
Oh,
there you go.
They're going to be wonderful. Oh, I'm sure.
Well, and as Sunday would say, everything tastes better with butter, so please help yourself to some butter as well.
And butter is good.
That's right.
Butter is good. Thank you, Judy. Thank you very much. What a privilege to be here.
Well, there we go. Well, and what about if we have our first bites and see what you think?
Okay.
All right.
You bet. Oh, it's going to be just absolutely wonderful. Oh, boy, Judy.
I think it is. It is flavorful.
Oh, that's just wonderful. I can just see the ladies making this soup and being so proud to serve it.
I think maybe the gentlemen too, because you know, after all, we're celebrating mothers and women's. I think maybe that the men should be making the soup for their wives. Don't you think? Or their special loved ones?
The ideas are getting better all the time.
Absolutely.
You bet. I don't like to disturb this beautiful centerpiece here, but
I think just dig right in there.
Oh, that is just so good. Just so good.
I think when we think of COVID and our seniors, I do have to say such a special thanks for the Chartwell Harbors for keeping my mom and all of our loved ones there very safe throughout this really, really difficult time. And as things open up and move forward, we just can't wait to be able to celebrate Mother's Day and all kinds of, maybe it's just special Fridays, special Thursdays, whatever the day is, that we can have that time together and embrace. We need to be able to hug more. And those are the things that we're all looking forward to. Well, you know what? When we've had our many projects together, what we've always done is ended with a cup of tea.
Of course.
And you know what? This set really is mine, as what I received as a little girl.
What a privilege, Judy. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone that makes this beautiful asparagus soup, they'll end up with a cup of tea and a thankful heart.
That's right.
Isn't that lovely?
Cheers.
Good.
Thank you. We wish all of you a very happy Mother's Day. And
sure.
for all the women that you love. And maybe we'll send some love to them all, right?
All right,
We should do that.
You
Let's
bet.
shoot them all some love.
Thank
Absolutely.
you to all Laura and all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to everyone that has been so kind to follow us. We look forward to sharing another recipe with you next episode. Take care.
Hello, my name is Sunday Nordine. I'm the CEO of Community Kitchens. I'd like to thank you for tuning into this episode. If you would like more information or would like to give a donation, you could go to ckpcalgary.ca.